I look at this several different ways, but the first thing is we go, okay, what can we grow what incremental business? So what additional business from established customers do we have or do we think we can get in the upcoming year? So for example, if we say that our top 20 customers gave us $6 million in business and we look historically and we go, well, you know, maybe not all 20, but we grew 10 to 25% with 12 of those 20. And then we grew 5 to 10% with the others, or with 6 of them. And 2, we went down with. Part of what I look at is what can we expect to capture from incremental growth from. So there's a strategy just for our existing clients of how we continue to serve or better serve. Then you go, all right, but we got $2 million from new partners that tried us. And that's really that's always fun with this script because, right, everybody's excited about what could be with those. Well, we've only done one event for them. Can I really count? So we know the work that has to happen to go into learning more about them and telling them, helping them understand better about who we are. So one is we look at incremental versus new. Then I look at the type of work. We are doing more work, Khalil, not on the trade show floor, not in traditional booth spaces, but in private events, user conferences, special events like a Formula One or a live golf tour or a traveling road show for a university on something. And we go, okay. And then you look at the market and you see where the trends are. And a lot of our partners are doing stuff like, remember, if we're doing that, it's because somebody's coming to us to do that because they don't have the resources to do it, but we do. But they're uncovering that work. So for us, we're going, I'm not talking to Pepperdine University by myself, but a small reseller in California is. And they've called us and go, hey, can you guys help us with this event? And that leads to a broader discussion about they're taking this on the road. Okay, great. So in the hopper, who do we got? What did they do? What can we expect from incremental? And we make a best guess estimate there. So I might go, okay, 20% of my growth, we think that's a good, reasonable, rounded number for those 20 people. They did $6 million with us. $1.2 million of our growth, we're counting on to come from that group. How about the new people over here? Oh, well, someone go, I could double my business with those. Can you really? Okay. So then, we have that conversation. We go, there's another $1 million that we think we can come from there. And there's always some unexpected stuff. Again, case in point, like the Sammy Hagar thing. I'm not a fan of celebrating growth when it drops out of the sky unexpectedly. I really like it when we've had a phenomenal January and there was nothing that fell out of the sky. It seems like we're executing the playbook and it's working well. And so that's just really exciting when you get. So anyway, when I look at it and you go, okay, well, I add up the numbers and that adds to sometimes that would be a 40% growth rate. And that's when, I get squeamish and I go, I don't know. I'm going to sandbag this a little. Can I really do 40% growth? And so this is where you sort of, I don't want to hedge because I'm setting goals for people and incentives and I don't want to disappoint them. But usually we talk about it and we come to something. And so that's how we've come up with a number. And oh, by the way, we then take that new number. So let's say if it was 6 million last year and it's going to be 8.5 million this year, you go, we're going to divide that percentage wise by historically what we know each month. And that's how we start. And it's never perfect, but you know what? I'm not crying if we go, well, we had $1 million month in January last year and we only did 864,000 this year, but February looks killer, right? And it wasn't killer last year. Sometimes it's 30 days off, right? Sometimes if you miss it, you're going to know you miss it and it's not showing up the next month, right?
Well, some things to consider with this growth, like you mentioned, 40% growth, is that realistic? And I think some things that need to be addressed are, okay, 40% growth, does that mean a 40% increase in inventory? 40% growth, does that mean a 40% increase in our receivables? 40% growth,
Yeah.
what does that do to our labor costs? And just the ability to find that labor, right? It's a part of your gross margin, right? For some of that
Yeah.
labor.
Yeah.
But do you have access to 40% more labor? And does that
So
mean that you now need
this
to
is a
hire an
great
HR
this
person to
yeah,
be able to
this
go and
is
find that labor? And that's
great
now a new
question.
overhead expense. So these are all things that you have to calculate. And in reality, when you set these revenue targets, you should be also setting the key action items following this. It's not, okay, good. We got 40% growth revenue. That's what our target is now. We're going to go hit it. No. Hey guys, here's our action plan. We're thinking that we can hit 40%. Here's what that means for, our accounting team. Here's what we need to be tracking. We need to make sure that we're getting our days to build down to from 11 days to 7 days.
Yeah.
Hey, here HR team, we need to start filling the pipeline now with new hires because it's going to be a really busy April, right?
So to your point. So this is where having two facilities that do the kind of build work we do has helped tremendously because we can lay off some work if one's at capacity on the other. And you go, oh, but you still have to ship that. But you know what? I've got trucks running every week from, Las Vegas to Orlando or the other
Oh,
ways.
wow.
So I know what the cost of a dedicated truck will be. If I have to move some stuff, and trust me, if we're busy enough, and I may not be able to recapture that, right? But if that's a $3,000 or $4,000 cost that I've got to eat to move inventory or projects out there, then so be it. And if it comes in short lead, I may be able to capture that cost because I'm accepting the
Yeah.
work going, hey, you only got 20 days before this has to deliver. So there's going to be a premium charge on this. So, but Khalil, this is we, so labor's the tough one to guesstimate. But remember,
Yeah.
I didn't finish the profit sharing model. A third of the 10%. So if we make $1 million earnings in a year, 333,000 is going to the employees. Another third is set aside for what we call the capital reserves. This is for this is what the budget will be to invest in equipment or inventory for next year. If I had to tap that early because of a spike in demand, well, we've got some cash set aside to be able to build those extra 100 counters or whatever it is we're making. And then the final third is set aside in kind of that rainy day fund. So that's actually the capital investment fund, the second one. The capital reserve so this is what we set aside in case there's another disruption of the market. Please God, not another pandemic, but you know what I'm saying. So, and then that money accrues. So we really are our own bank. We're not taxing a line of credit. It's nice to have that, but we prefer it gives you a lot of freedom when we're paying out a third and we're saving a third and we're putting aside a third for investment stuff. So if there's that spike, if not, that money just rolls over to the following year's reserve. And it is why we can, and by the way, I've had this, and I don't think I'm talking out of school, but my friend Mark Taylor had a project, I think it was a year ago, 2 years ago, and he said we had somebody, quote, helping us with, a couple hundred frames on a new customer. It was 6 months before they finally pulled the trigger to have us do the project. And that was only 2 months out. And he said, this vendor now is saying they can't meet the inventory and at the price they quoted me, which we quoted the job. Is there anything you can do? And I said, well, I can't match that deeply discounted price, but I can get pretty close. And he goes, do you have the inventory? I said, at the moment, I'm not seeing it, but I've allocated, $100,000 spend for Q1 next year, to add frames. I'll activate that order right now and I will get those frames in here and I'll have them in 3 weeks. So I'll do that for you because you're you're the partner, and you can, and he did. He got he goes, well, if you're going to do that, then we're also going to give you this work and this work, and it was a wonderful win-win.